I don't remember falling asleep. One minute, I'm staring at the screen, typing out a report that was due 2 hours ago. The next, I'm waking up with the sound of my boss's voice cutting through the silence. Adam? I blink a few times, rubbing my eyes. My hands are still on the keyboard, fingers stiff from where they'd frozen mid-typing. The empty coffee cups scattered across the desk remind me how long I've been here, and how much I've stopped caring. Adam? Christine's voice again. This time, sharper. I sit up straight, wiping drool off my chin, trying to gather my thoughts as she stands in the doorway, arms crossed. She's staring at me like I'm some kind of specimen. Her heels click as she steps into the room. Are you... She stops, glancing around at the chaos. How is the project still moving forward? You've barely been here in days. I sit up fully now, trying to look more awake than I actually am. I can feel the exhaustion creeping in, that familiar buzz in my head. My brain is fried, but I've been powering through. I have to. No one else is stepping up. I've made it work, I say, voice rough from the dry air and lack of sleep. My eyes feel heavy, but I force myself to stay focused. I've automated everything, kept the system running. No one's noticed. She steps closer, glancing at the screen over my shoulder. She doesn't seem impressed, just curious. How long has it been since you've taken a day off? She asks, though she's not really asking. It's a judgment disguised as a question. I shrug. I don't keep track. Right, she says, her tone flat. She shifts on her feet, the sound of her heels tapping against the floor like a ticking clock. She glances at the piles of coffee cups, the empty takeout containers, the state of the desk. Then back to me. You're the reason it's still running, aren't you? She says it like it's a fact, like she's discovered something, but I've been living in it for weeks. I don't have to say anything. She knows. I don't think she gets it, though. I'm not looking for gratitude, not from her. But the truth is, this place, this project, it wouldn't be moving forward without me. I've been carrying this damn team, invisible, unnoticed, until now. Christine steps back and crosses her arms. She's staring at me, her expression unreadable. I can tell she's piecing things together, maybe connecting dots she's never bothered to connect before. The realization isn't some light bulb moment for her. It's more like something heavy landing in her lap. You know, she says, voice softer now, but still with that edge. You've been keeping this ship afloat, without anyone even knowing you're the one doing it. She pauses. Maybe it's time we start recognizing that. I don't feel the surge of pride she might expect. I feel the weight of it all. I'm invisible here, a ghost, keeping everything together but never seen, never really noticed until I'm too burnt out to function. Maybe, I say, keeping my voice level, but I'm not invisible, not anymore. Christine looks at me for a long moment, and for the first time, I can see the wheels turning. She's not mad. She's just aware now. Aware that I'm the one who's been running things while everyone else sleeps at the wheel. But that's the thing, isn't it? No one knows how much I've put in, how much I've sacrificed. No one cared about the long hours, the missed weekends, the nights spent in front of a screen with nothing but cold coffee to keep me going. And in this moment, I realize something else. Christine has always known. She's just never cared enough to say anything until now. The silence stretches out uncomfortable. Then she nods, and I know exactly what she's thinking. Maybe I'll have to do something about this now. But I won't hold my breath. The Zoom link clicked open, and there they were, Christine's cold eyes and Doug's bored, over-it demeanor. Doug barely even looked at the screen. He was the type who thought his role was just to nod and make the occasional half-hearted comment. It was hard to tell if he was there to do his job or just to clock in. "Hey, Adam," Doug said, straight to the point, like he couldn't wait to get it over with. "So, as you know, the project's been running smoother than expected. Your system's been efficient." He paused. "A little too efficient, actually." I knew what was coming. "Right," I said, dragging my hand down my face. "So, what's the problem?" Christine's lips were tight. She didn't even try to sugarcoat it. "Adam, we're going in a different direction." I didn't blink. I already knew where this was headed. Doug jumped in, trying to sound like he understood the tech behind the project. "Basically, the system's so automated, it's running itself. We've looked over the numbers, and there's no longer a need for a person to be in the loop." He leaned forward like he was delivering news from the gods. "It's all set up. No manual work needed anymore. We're letting you go, Your position is redundant. A cold wave hit me, but I didn't flinch. I just sat there, numb. This wasn't a surprise, just a confirmation of what I already knew, that no one cared about me, not really. Not my effort, not my hours, not anything. Christine glanced at Doug, then back to me. She had a poker face, but it was obvious she wasn't thrilled about having to make the call. We'll be processing your severance, and we'll send over the details. You're free to go once everything's wrapped up. Her voice was emotionless. She wasn't mad or relieved or even sympathetic. She was just doing her job, and I was a casualty of their convenience. Thanks, I said, keeping my voice steady, though I could feel the anger boiling under the surface. I wasn't a fool. I knew what this was, a clean break. And as much as I hated the way they were doing it, I knew I didn't have a leg to stand on. There was no room for me in their shiny new soulless system. Doug piped up again. I mean, Adam, seriously, this system you built, it's amazing. All the reports, the scheduling, everything just flows. It's a little ridiculous how much work you automated. I'm kind of in awe of it. He didn't get it. He thought I should be flattered, as if I should be proud of building a system that didn't need me to run anymore. I leaned back, letting the words hit like a cold slap. It felt like he was praising a ghost or a machine, not a person. He had no idea how I'd spent months building it, how many sleepless nights I'd sacrificed just to make sure everything worked without anyone noticing I was there. Yeah, I'm sure it's impressive, I said, flat. Glad you're all so happy with it. Christine shifted in her seat. We've appreciated your work, Adam, really. But the future's just different now. It's all automated. I felt a jolt of frustration run through me. They didn't even know what I had done, what I'd been running on the back end. I glanced down at the screen, my mind racing. How easily they tossed me aside, like I was nothing but a cog in a machine they'd outgrown. I stood up from my chair, already feeling the pressure of the anger, the betrayal, build in my chest. Thanks for the appreciation, I said, sarcasm dripping, though it was more out of spite than anything else. Christine didn't respond. She just stared at me, her face unreadable. Doug shifted uncomfortably but didn't offer anything else. The silence hung there for a moment too long. Fine, I muttered, then hit the leave meeting button. The call cut off, and just like that, I was dismissed. But as I logged off and let the weight of the words sink in, something else hit me. I'd created a system that could run without me, the same system that had gotten me fired, and I had built it in such a way that they didn't even realize that if I disappeared, there was something else lurking in the background, a failsafe, a silent kill switch that would only trigger once I was gone. I smirked bitterly as the idea clicked. If they wanted to cut me out, fine, but they were going to regret it, and they wouldn't even know what hit them. I kicked back in my chair at home, a cheap beer in hand, and clicked over to the company dashboard. The system, my system, was still humming along in the background. Everything was running smoothly, too smoothly. I smirked as I started clicking through the reports. Nothing too drastic at first, just some minor glitches, a few delayed emails, a couple of missing reports, automated tasks that were suddenly stuck in limbo. It didn't look like much, but I knew where this was headed. By 3 p.m., the real fun began. A few employee schedules had gone haywire. Random shifts got assigned to people who weren't even in the office that day. Emails started bouncing back with strange error codes. And my favorite, customer service requests. They got lost in the void. By the time 5 p.m. hit, the chaos was picking up speed. I opened my phone just as Doug's name flashed across the screen. Adam, his text read, "Please, can you fix this? We're losing track of things." I leaned back, feeling that small, vindictive spark inside me. His panic was like a drug, and I was enjoying the high. Doug had no clue what was happening. He didn't know that the mess was because of the code I had hidden in the system, the silent failsafes I'd installed, just in case they ever pulled the plug on me. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Doug could sweat it out. I swirled the beer around in my hand, watching the liquid catch the light, enjoying the strange satisfaction that came from watching the machine I built start to break down. My phone buzzed again. Doug, still frantic. "Please, Adam, we need you. This is bigger than it looks." I set my phone face down on the table. No reply. At 7 p.m., I checked the system again. The errors were stacking up. Automated emails were being sent out with old data. Reports were missing entire sections, and customers were getting blank forms in their inboxes. I could practically hear the frustration building at the office. Employees, clueless, scrambling to put out fires they didn't understand. Then came Doug's apology, a text I almost laughed at. "We didn't realize how much we relied on you. Can you help us fix this?" I took a long sip of my beer, enjoying the irony. They hadn't even realized the system was entirely dependent on me, and now they were paying the price. I should have felt bad, but I didn't. I watched the chaos unfold, my fingers hovering over the keys, knowing I had complete control, knowing that even if I walked away from this, it was already too late for them. The systems were starting to unravel, and I didn't need to do a damn thing to keep it going. The silence, the growing panic from my former coworkers, it was more satisfying than any paycheck, any recognition they could have ever given me. They'd thought I was nothing, just some faceless cog in the wheel. Now they were starting to see what that nothing really meant, and it felt damn good. I spent the next few hours watching the meltdown unfold. My fingers hovered over the mouse, flicking between different screens, tracking the chaos I'd set in motion. It wasn't big yet, but the cracks were showing. First, it was the intern who uploaded the wrong batch of files, triggering a flood of emails and reports that made no sense. I could practically hear the frantic scrambling from the office, the confusion. "Hey, this isn't what we need," someone would say. "Where are the right files?" I could picture it in my head, like a slow-motion car crash. Employees scrambling to pull things together, sending frantic emails, checking data, and no one knowing that the system they were depending on was now broken. The worst part? They had no idea what had caused it. The problem was invisible to them. Only I knew what was happening. By the time 3 p.m. hit, the customer service system started to implode. It was almost too perfect. Clients began calling in about unprocessed orders, broken systems, missing communications. Their voices tinged with annoyance as they waited for someone to figure it out. They didn't know they were waiting for someone who didn't even work there anymore. The phone buzzed with another message. It was from Christine, of course. "Let's talk about a consult. Paid, of course," she wrote. I chuckled under my breath. A consult? She'd gone from cold indifference to a vague offer, thinking she could throw money at the problem to make it go away. I didn't respond. I didn't even give it a second thought. I wasn't done yet. She had no idea what was coming. The chaos kept spreading. More glitches, more errors, more frustrated employees trying to fix things that were never meant to be fixed. They were getting desperate. I could almost hear the panic in Doug's voice as he probably fired off more emails, begging for help, trying to figure out what the hell was going wrong. But no one was going to fix it, not without me. And even if they managed to piece it together, it wouldn't be the same. My creation, my code, the thing that made everything run. It was a beast they'd never truly understood. I felt satisfaction crawl under my skin. They didn't need me when things were running smoothly, but now, they were realizing how dependent they had become on my invisible touch. Around 5 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Doug, I didn't bother to check it. Instead, I pulled up Christine's LinkedIn, just out of curiosity. I knew she was probably sitting in some corporate meeting, trying to figure out how to clean up the mess I'd left behind. The thought made me smile. It felt damn good to be on the other side for once. The messages kept piling up, more frustration, more panic, and the more they floundered, the more I savored it. I wasn't coming back, not for them. Not for any damn paycheck. And when I decided to make my move, it was going to be a lot more than just walking away. They'd regret it, but not yet. Not today. I let the messages sit. The silence, the pressure, was all part of the plan. They wouldn't fix it without me, and I wasn't going to lift a finger to help. By the time the sun came up, the company's systems had officially gone off the rails. I could practically hear the panic from my couch. Payroll was frozen. Vendor systems were crashing. Data was going unprocessed. I took a long sip of my drink and leaned back, a slight grin on my face. It was all falling apart, and I didn't have to do a damn thing. My phone buzzed, vibrating against the table. I picked it up and saw Christine's name flash on the screen. She didn't waste any time. "Adam," she said, her voice sharp, trying to hold it together but failing. "We need you. I'll pay you whatever you want. Just come back and fix this." I waited a few seconds before responding. She'd only called because she was drowning. Her voice had that forced calmness, the one that only showed up when someone realized they had no other options. "No," I said flatly. I didn't need to elaborate, Christine had made her bed. Now she could lie in it. They had all written me off, dismissed me when I was giving everything I had, and now they were begging. She didn't deserve my help. I set my phone down and turned my attention back to the screen. Doug had texted me a few minutes ago. "Please, Adam, this is urgent. Can you help?" I ignored it. I didn't need to respond to them. Let them sweat. I leaned back again and took another drink. The silence felt so damn good. They were starting to realize just how much they needed me, but it was too late. They hadn't appreciated the hours I'd put in. They hadn't respected me when I was there, invisible, behind the scenes. Now they were seeing the consequences of their oversight. But it wasn't just about watching them panic. It wasn't just about revenge. This was about making them understand the price of disrespect. It was about showing them that they needed me, and maybe they needed to change. Maybe they needed a wake-up call, and I was more than happy to be the one to deliver it. Christine's text came through again, more desperate now. "I'll make this worth your while. You've built something amazing here. Don't let it all fall apart. Please." I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. "No." I typed back one word and hit send. The tension in the room, in the company, it was thickening by the minute. They didn't know it yet, but the worst was yet to come. I had everything I needed, right in front of me. A timeline, a record of every moment when they'd taken me for granted, and a full breakdown of how the company's systems ran smoothly because of me, and how they were falling apart without me. I sat back in my chair, looking at the screen. The email was ready. The attachment, the details, the proof, everything lined up. All I had to do was hit send. I hesitated for only a second, then I did it. The email left my inbox and shot across the company's network. The moment I pressed send, I could feel a weight lifting off me. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about forcing them to see the truth, forcing them to see how they'd been riding on my back, completely blind to the work I'd been doing, to the way I'd been keeping the wheels turning. I stared at the screen for a long moment after, watching as the read receipts popped up. They were going to get it, all of it. Christine's reply came through almost immediately. "I need to see you now." She didn't waste time, but neither did I. I didn't respond to her right away. She'd made her bed, now she had to lie in it. The company was already starting to feel the pressure. Emails flooding in from management, phone calls, messages. Panic was spreading fast, their mistakes laid out for all to see. I could feel the shift, the uncomfortable tension in the air. They were scrambling. They were realizing they were in way deeper than they ever thought. I opened up a chat with Mark. He had texted me earlier, asking if I could help them clean up. I chuckled at the message. I stared at his name for a second before typing back, "No." There was no point in wasting time. They had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to play the hero anymore. They were going to have to clean up their mess themselves. A message from Christine popped up again, this time more desperate. "Please, let's talk. We need you." I ignored it. I wasn't going to rush in to save them. This wasn't about fixing what they'd broken. It was about making them understand, making them feel the weight of their own negligence. I wasn't just punishing them. I was giving them a lesson they wouldn't forget. They'd taken me for granted, thought I was invisible. Well, now I was showing them exactly how much I mattered. I pulled up the system again, checking on the damage. More glitches, more errors. The cracks were deepening. It felt good. My phone buzzed one last time. Christine again. "We're willing to pay you whatever you want. Just fix this." I could almost hear her frustration through the screen. She thought money would fix this, thought I could be bought. But this wasn't about money. It was about respect. I smiled bitterly and turned off my phone. They would figure it out, but they'd do it without me. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something close to peace. I wasn't interested in any of Christine's apologies. I wasn't even interested in hearing her out. I had already made my decision. When I walked into the conference room, Christine stood at the head of the table, wearing that professional mask she always put on when things got real. Doug sat in the corner, his face flushed, clearly uncomfortable. They thought this was going to be another, let's fix the mess and move forward kind of meeting. But it wasn't. "Adam," Christine started, trying to sound authoritative, but there was a tremble in her voice. No, I interrupted, my tone firm. "We're not here to fix anything. I'm here to make a point." She blinked at me, taken aback. I pulled out my laptop and set it on the table, opening the new system I'd built. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their input. What I needed was to show them that I had more control now than they ever gave me credit for. I'm not coming back as an employee, I said slowly, making sure every word hit its mark. I'm coming back as a partner. Christine's brow furrowed, and I could see Doug shift in his seat, his mind scrambling to process what was happening. A partner? Christine repeated, her voice tight. What do you mean exactly? I mean, I said, I'm taking over, the department, all of it, from the ground up. You don't get to dictate my value anymore. I decide that now. I paused, letting that sink in. Christine's eyes were wide. She didn't want to admit it, but she knew it was true. She had no idea what to do without me. You've got two options, I continued. You either bring me in as a partner with full control, or you watch this place continue to fall apart. I'm not here to clean up your mess. I'm here to take over. And if you want to survive, you'll have to let me rebuild everything. Christine opened her mouth, probably to argue, but I cut her off. Oh, I added, and Doug? He gets demoted, publicly. It's time someone realized leadership means more than just sitting in a chair and pretending to know what's going on. Doug stiffened, his face reddening even more. I could tell he was about to fight me on it, but I didn't care. This wasn't about me getting my way. It was about making sure they knew how deeply they'd underestimated me. Christine blinked again, the reality of the situation setting in. She was cornered now. She had no choice but to back me up, and we both knew it. We'll discuss it with the board, she said, her voice low. But Adam, this isn't how things work. You can't just... I leaned forward, cutting her off again. No, this is exactly how things work. You wanted a change. I'm giving it to you. Now, you need to prove that you understand what leadership actually is. I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm telling you how it's going to be. She looked at me for a long moment, then at Doug, who looked like he was going to choke on his own words. Doug had never been a real leader. He was a middle manager, a cog in the machine, but he didn't understand what it took to actually run things. Christine swallowed hard and finally nodded, though I could see the hesitation in her eyes. Fine, she said. We'll do it your way. But, Adam, this better work. I smiled, feeling the weight of everything shift in my favor. It will, I said, standing up. And when it does, you'll thank me. Trust me. I turned and walked out, leaving them behind, standing there stunned, already realizing that their old way of running things was done. And with that, I was in control. For the first time, I was exactly where I needed to be.